Shalom, family. Glory be to God, and blessed be the Lamb. I want to tell you the story of a boy, a little boy. Okay, how I became me. We're gonna talk about the spiritual aspect of it, mostly. When I was a child, um, by the age of 5, maybe 5.5, I would find myself looking down at my body, sleep in the bed, and I was horrified. Now, it was different then. I had mass, but not form. In other words, I could kind of see myself. Okay. So I'm looking down at my body and I'm stuck to the ceiling like a helium balloon. I was terrified. Trust me, I felt the kind of fear that could stand you still. I felt that kind of fear. And somehow I struggled back into my body. I remember that. Every time I would get a little bit off the ceiling, I would go right back up like a helium balloon. But somehow I knew that I should get back in that body, whatever that means. And I did. And I remember sitting up and almost screaming in sheer terror. But that wouldn't be the end of it. That was the start of it. That would happen nightly. I don't know for how long. But as a kid, again, it seemed like an awfully long time. It seemed like every time in fact, the situation, excuse me, the situation had me fighting sleep. That's how bad it was. I was afraid to close my eyes. And I could feel it coming on. It came on right as I was somewhere between consciousness and not consciousness. You know that space where you're dozing off, but you can still hear ambient noise, maybe the TV set or refrigerator or something like that, but you barely hear it because you're dozing deeper and deeper and deeper into a deep sleep, as you should. So I began to fight sleep. That had to last at least a week until I just couldn't fight it anymore. And sure enough, out of my body, what you would call an out of body experience is what they would call them today. Okay. I think they got some kind of understanding of it. But over time, I learned how to move in that form. This is where mass and form meet. See, it was different now. Back in those days, I would be the type of spirit that would leave footprints in your carpet, but you wouldn't see me. Me being me, I would see you. I would see it because what it looks like is you know how you're driving down a highway on a hot summer day, a blacktop maybe, and the heat is rising off the tarmac or the blacktop. They look something like that, mass and form, and they should be careful with that shit. And they are. They don't do that often at all. However, back to what I was saying, I learned how to maneuver in that farm. And I remember this where shit got dicey. Again, I'm only 6 years old, max. So I know absolutely nothing. And man, I look back on it, I, I see what God was doing. It was training. But man, that's harsh. No coach, no manual, just tossed him to the damn river and said, swim. Okay, I see how we playing. Harshly. But that's how I would view it even now. Harsh. Learning on the fly. But anyway, I remember we lived at 6518 Carver Road. That is a very important address. A lot of shit happened there. A lot of shit. A lot of it I won't even be going into out of respect for what I respect. I just won't do it. However, lucky for me, we are still at the spiritual aspect of it. So I learned how to walk. Normally walk. You just couldn't see me, and I learned how to stay off a carpet because I could see the prints myself. So one morning, back in them days, you could damn near sleep with your doors open. They would, I mean, it was a fall morning, and um on the north side of the house was a space, and in that space was this pasture, and it had horses and cows in it, and that's where I was going. I don't know why. Something drew me there. I'm going, but as I'm going up the hallway, I could see my mother ironing my father's work shirt. I could see my father putting his lunch in a lunch kit, and I walked right past them, like they wasn't even there. This where shit gets dicey though. Just as I get to the open door, because they had the doors open, because it's a crisp fall morning, and that's how they aired out the house, plus it cooled off the house. 55 degrees, 60 degrees or so. And they had screen doors. So they felt safe as far as they had to be safe. At any rate, when I get to the threshold, just as I stepped outside, there was a farm to the left of me, and there was a farm to the right of me. Huge, glowing. I had never experienced this. This one was strange, very strange. And I panicked. And good thing I did, because they grabbed me and we struggled. They grabbed me, man. I didn't know I could be grabbed. So they had to be something like myself if they had that freaking ability looking back. But now I look back on it, and I'm even looking at maybe that was staged either to teach me a lesson or to produce what it did in me, which was flight. And I struggled. And somehow I got away. I shot back up the hallway, past my mother, past my father, and jumped in my body and sit up again, and my heart was just pounding. It was just pounding. Now, that would happen less and less as I got to 13, 14, 15, who knows why. But I thought that everybody had that ability. Why wouldn't I think that at 6 years old? I look like you look like me. 2 eyes, nose, mouth. So it was unworthy and unremarkable to even talk about it. It was a safe assumption for me. I would learn later. That's not how it works. So anyway, back to the metaphysical aspect of it. Mass plus form. I don't like it. It's sort of like mixing iron with clay. God don't like it. All you want to be walking around with. Anyway, that's a whole nother audio. God does not like mixing iron with clay. I'm just letting you know. He does not look kindly upon it. And he considers you clay. You are the clay. You are the clay. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. At any rate, later on, I would be able to experience what I considered. And again, I'm thinking everybody else see it. Shit that other people couldn't see. I could be sitting in, man, I've been sitting on a railroad track in a dark place, man. And I look to the left of me and I see, I want to get this story straight, at least 4 or 5 spiritual beings, about 3 feet tall, dancing in a circle in, in this metaphysical form. They went from one side of the tracks to the other side of the tracks, and then they was dancing in a circle, and they either felt me watching them because they stopped and they looked at me, and then they just stared, and then they went back into the woods. I started seeing these type of things, but again, I thought everybody could, and is key. This is key. Okay. Now, as time were to go on, I would forget until I got to Germany. I started to understand that any kind of stress, mental stress, like I went from one time zone to a whole nother time zone. What's it called? It's called, damn it. Anyway, it's when your body doesn't adjust. And I couldn't sleep. I was sleeping at weird ass hours or not wanting to sleep at all. Jet lag. That's the word I'm looking for. Jet lag. And I had it bad, real bad. It lasted a couple of weeks. And then I got my equilibrium, but it was bad. And that's when that was active, very active. Now it would be this time that I would learn that I could pass through solids, which spirits cannot do. They can't. They can't come through closed windows. They can't walk through walls. They can't come through doors, not even as a mist. They need help. They have to be let in. Let in. And I would often see them at the corners of elevators, kind of just hovering there. But again, I wasn't me then. I guess I was still learning. It's just there. It doesn't bother me. And I mean, I will feel some stranger and shit every now and then, but that's about it. I didn't understand. So there was no need for them to be revealing themselves by doing shit like that. I was just there. So, they were just there. Now, as time would go on, something happened. I don't know what. I remember reaching up to adjust the AC vent in the ceiling, and I could reach it with my hands if I stretched. And just as I touched it, everything went black. Everything went black. Okay? I I felt myself hit the floor. I had just missed the corner. And I started laughing a few minutes later after everybody said, "You all right? You all right?" And I said, "What happened?" And then a few minutes later, I was laughing. I said, "Geez, why do everybody ask that? Shit, what you do?" What happened? Didn't you just get up off the damn floor? You know full well what the hell just happened. Everybody asked that, man. And I found that peculiar, very peculiar. um, you are the you end up on the floor and you want to know how you got there. Anyway, something happened. Now my theory is it didn't just happen to me. It also happened to you. But we won't be going into that. We will not be going into that. That's a trust me. That is a whole different thing. I would damn near have to pull out the Bible if I'm gonna talk about it respectfully and honestly. But from there, I was starting to experience other things in the house. In the house, and man, I wish I had been the me then that I am now. Everything would be different if I had been me back then, but I wasn't. So that shit don't count to do it. First, I was starting to go through bodily changes. Like I was sitting on the bed and I had shorts on, and I could see every vein in my body, all on my back, up and down my arms, my legs. I mean, it was, I didn't know what the hell was happening at all. So, right around this time, let's inject the spirits. This would be around 2015, 16 in the house. Okay. This is a 2-story townhouse, something like 2,000 square feet or a little bit more. And I could put something down and I come back and it's gone. And I know damn well I just left it there. I may smoke marijuana, but it's not a short term memory issue for me. Okay. I can smoke that shit and keep it moving like it didn't even happen. But I remember coming in and it was there. And I just stood there and I looked at it and I just stared at it. And that's when I understood it was in the same position that it was left in. That it told me it was always there. Somehow they had the ability to camouflage the fact that it was there, making me not see it. And turns out that would be the fact. That would be the fact. Now, in that year, a lot of shit went down. 2000, some people say 2020. No, I started feeling it in 2015, 16. Okay? Something happened. Something happened. Okay? And it felt like a wave coming upon the planet. And everything changed. Everything. It was like uh, back in them days, I was still heavy into geopolitics and foreign policy, heavy in and into it. But one morning I woke up, something was different. I mean, all of the pieces were in the proper places, but the feeling of the game wasn't right. It was weird. Something wasn't right. Now, at the end of 2015, 16, I started noticing the grayness and the hum in the air. Some of you heard it, and some of you didn't. This constant hum. Sometimes they'll even do it today. It is a mechanical hum. Some people hear it, some people it doesn't. Now, this is done to control what I use the term has infected humanity. is a form of control and communication with them. Okay? Now, it was getting personal in the house. Okay? The garage tried to kill me. First of all, I mean, if I hadn't turned my head at man, I, I'm pretty sure I would have died. It looked like I had on jeans, and the cable gave that pulled the garage door up and down. The cable gave at the bottom. It snatched the bottom panel off, flew off the panel, knocked holes starting right below my kneecap to my lower thigh, to my upper thigh, to my elbow. And it opened up a gap of skin in my elbow at least a quarter inch deep and 3 inches long. If I hadn't turned my head at just the right moment, I'm a dead man. I'm a dead man. Jugular hit, faces hit, eye hit. I'm out of there, and I'm in there by my damn self, and ain't nobody else in the house but me. I am a dead man. Period. End of discussion. Now, family members started acting strange. But again, I hadn't put the pieces of the puzzle together. And we're going to leave that right there. Family members started acting strange. Immediate family members. Strange. Okay? And I'm watching all of this. And it's causing problems because I see it and I don't understand it. And man, if I knew what I knew, there's so many worthless, useless words I would not have ever uttered if I had been me back then. It would have been a whole different story. Now, around this time, I had gotten angry. I had gotten angry, but I still haven't come into me. But I do know that I can see them and other people can't. And the people with me that day, I'm going to show them. We walked in a store. I'm not going to call the name of the store. And we went up and down the aisles, and I was being bold with it. That's one. That's one. That's one. And people looking at me. Don't run. That's one. Oh, that one over on aisle 8. Hey, standing by the ice cream freezer. Uh-huh. No glare in your eyes, standing right underneath the lights. That's one too. Now, by this time, somebody on one of the aisles has said, that's a damn shame. I know not if they were infested or not, but somebody said, that's a damn shame. No, it's not a damn shame. Enough of this peekaboo shit, okay? You're not gonna convince me, but they did, and they was right. They don't see us, idiot. I don't care what you do, because they can't. So this is where the resistance starts. But it wasn't resistance meant like this. I mean, meant as though you would think. First of all, I was under enormous stress. In between 2013 and 15, I had lost everything. And I'm a hustler. We managed to hustle it back up and lost it again. Ain't that something? And I was angry. And then it hit me what the contract was. Obviously didn't read the fine print. The word came, it said, are you ready? It scared the hell out of me. I had just opened my eyes. I had just put my feet feet on the floor, and this booming voice, "Are you ready?" And it scared me because I didn't understand ready for what. What is ready? Wait a minute, ready for what? And it never came back. Except about 4 weeks later, it did come back. I guess it was waiting on that to soak in, because it came back again. This time it said, "Will you sacrifice?" Now, in that year, a lot of bad shit was happening. A lot of bad shit. But I'm involved in this legal matter too at the same time. So I'm constantly at the courthouse, and I can see them everywhere, everywhere. So it was different for me. Now, moving on, the resistance. I called it the resistance because the word kept coming, and the signs, mostly signs, letting me know this is what it is and this is who you are. But me, man, I've never apologized to the Lord. I'm sorry, Lord, but you understood why I fought so hard, right? It was this. I was raised in the church, okay? For the most part, I was raised in the church when the church had some sense, and they more or less went by the Bible, and they wasn't 501c3s, businesses. They were there to spread the word and save your soul. Okay. So it became an issue of, I had so much love, honor, and respect for God and Jesus that I'm just not doing it. And at this point, I am dealing with angels at this point, and they wasn't playing with my ass. They was not playing with me. I tell you, I have felt so much freaking pain, and once again, it can stand you still. I remember riding from one side of the city to the other side of the city, and then I would repay the fare, ride back to the other side, and back to the other side. Sometimes I step out and smoke a cigarette and wait on the next one and do the same thing. I did that until 3 a.m. That night I slept on a park bench. That's when the devil came. That's when the devil came. I'm mixing all this stuff up because it was quite chaotic, and it's all connected. The devil came, and the devil didn't come as a rich man. No, the devil came as a homeless man. Yeah, yeah. And I'm in the park, on the park bench, right across at the bus stop, right across from Herman Park, about 300 feet from the hospital. And, and here he comes. I'm sitting there smoking a cigarette, and he walks up and he looks at me and he say, "How you doing?" I don't say nothing. I don't know you. I already don't like you. You are violating my space. You see me here alone. Why the fuck do you think I want to have some company? Why do you think that you can stop at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, "Hell the fuck oh"? Okay. What is wrong with you? Damn it, Jim. So he sits down and he say, "Have a cigarette." I look over at the pack and I look at him. I ain't said a word. I look at the pack and I look at him and I take a puff off my goddamn cigarette. And he say, you know, you really ain't got to be like this or something like that. And then he reached into his pockets and pulled out a bunch of fur babies. You know the shit that would gather in your pockets over time, like the shit out your dryer. He had a he had a pocket of that, not a lot, and some little strips of paper mixed in. And he pulled it out of his pocket and he started playing with it on the bus stop. On the bench, and and he looks up at me and he look back at this little pile and he go to playing with it again, and then he gathers it back up and he sticks it back in his pocket. Then he stands up and he walks away. He walks around the hospital, around the backside, and come out on the parking lot side. This has to be, I mean, if I was to add it up, to make the turn at least a quarter mile, this bastard looked like he just walked around 50, 60 yards, and now he's walking back toward me, and I'm looking at this shit. And he come back, and he sits down, and I'm just looking at him. And he pulls the shit back out of his pocket again, and go to playing with it. I guess by then, he could feel me. I'm getting angry now. Plus, you're real strange. And I eyeballed you long enough to make me see that you look like you homeless in name only. This kind of shit. I mean, I'm eyeballing him. So he said, well, I can see you don't really want me here no more. And we had a short conversation about some politics and shit. A short conversation about politics, race-based politics. Trip the fuck out, man. It only lasted 5 damn minutes. And then he stands up and he walks the same route. Now he's piqued my curiosity. And so now I'm waiting on him to make the turn. And within 3 or 4 minutes, he'd have made this damn turn again. I can't see him walk because he's walking behind the hospital, coming up the back side of it, back up the other side of it. And man, it was weird. Weird. Now that very morning, I'm about to go to jail. This the devil. He works fast. He works fast. I'm getting on the subway. I'm giving you a little bit of the physical aspect of that time. I'm getting on the subway. I have on a huge backpack. Okay? So I accidentally bumped this guy. And I said to him, excuse me. And I sat down. And he ain't but on the other side of the subway standing there. And then he said to me, say, man, I don't know who the fuck your ass is, but where I'm from, I mean, people say, excuse me. I say, bruh, I said, excuse me, pardon me. Then he raised his voice. Not knowing, dude, this is the wrong, man, you have no idea what's going on here. Man, I tell this dude, I say, he said some old trippy ass shit, man, and I'm trying to de-escalate it, and he just keep going and keep going and keep going. And I say, man, listen here, dude, how would you feel if I left the back of your head on that fucking window back there? And the Asian lady sitting in front of me, Angel, she turned all the way around, looked me in my eyes, and she said, please don't. Please don't. I'm like, what the fuck? So let's get back to the spiritual aspect. I would not go where they wanted me to go, because in my mind, you have no idea how much I respect God and Jesus. This is blasphemy. Blasphemy. It got that deep. They had me where I was scared. I wouldn't even say the Lord's Prayer. I'm talking about the angels. They was on, man, They was beating me, man. And so I ain't even to tell you how. I mean, it was just strange. They would not let go of the matter. But my position was, this is blasphemy. And then I was in a situation where I was approached, and this guy that came from across the street, a busy street, and made a beeline toward me. At this point, I'd been through so much, everything moving like that, shit at an angle and shit like that is a threat. And and so I didn't move to meet him because whatever his plan is, we're gonna cut this shit here off. Okay. It's too late to maneuver out your way. My next plan is to meet you in the middle on this shit. Disorient your ass a little bit. If you meant to shoot me by the wall, no, you're gonna shoot me in the middle of the parking lot now. So that's my attitude. But instead, he walks up to me, his knees bend, and he says, "You one of them," and walks off. Now, God finally got tired of it. I guess that he found it amusing and respectful and gracious at first. But obviously, he didn't have time for this. And he let me know. So when it got to that point, I had an epiphany. I just had an epiphany. Okay. I mean, y'all done sent but the big man is still the deal. And I knew it was him. They can move their way. He moved his way. There is a vast ass difference in how the angels move and how he moved. Okay? Vast. Believe that. I don't know what Satan had in his mind. Shit. But at any rate, I had this epiphany. Well, hell, my argument was I'm not going to be dragged be, before the throne on Judgment Day with this blasphemy, because I know that I'm going to a very bad place for a very long ass time. I'm not doing this. I don't know what I am. I know what your ass is, but I'm not doing this. But then I had witnesses. So that means, so y'all are willing to go to hell with me then, huh? And that sealed the deal for me. That sealed the deal. And that's when all hell broke loose too. About 3 to 4 weeks later, someone turned the lights on. I refer to it as me and the devil having a fight in the dark, and someone walked in on it and shit, hit the light switches. And now all you can see. And you've seen a lot. You've seen a lot. You felt a lot. Whew, I can only imagine. I can only imagine how you processed the information. I can only imagine. But for me, it is expected and it is normal because we exist on that realm with them and up above them. It's different. So here's another difference. Back to Germany. This one I found out that I can go through walls. I had this friend named Sally who loved candles, a German lady. It was candles everywhere, always lit. I bet you her light bill wasn't but shit, 8 to 10 marks, about $11 a month at the time, because she burned pretty much nothing but candles. I never asked her why. So again, I'm in the midst of jet lag, and I just walked through the door. But that's not what happened. The consciousness moved from one side to the other, not like spirits. They can't do that. They can't do that. I'm trying to arm you up at the same time. Cracks, windows, places in your house, bathrooms, corners, closets with shelves, dark spaces. At any rate, I began to be able to see them more and more. I could be sitting in like a driveway or driving down the street, and you see them, but you don't perceive them. Man, a shadow beside the gate that shouldn't be there, just kind of there. You look away and then it's not there. Well, that's them. That's them. And there's different levels of them. And like I said, becoming me, I had to die. And there's no other way of me putting it. And die I did. And pain. Let me just tell you, while I was riding from one side to the other, gazing out of the window, and it's cold as hell outside, but I can take it. I'm not worried. It was cold, but I'm willing to deal with it because emotionally I'm overrun by some more shit. And I'm a little bit off-put by this strange ass man that I could almost see was the same strange ass man talking his stupid ass shit on the subway, but just in a different body. I could see the eyes. At any rate, shit got crazy then, because the minute that you could see me, I could see them even more so. It was like, no shit. They think they talking over your head. So I heard one guy sitting on the outside patio. There's another guy walking up the sidewalk. And one guy says, I don't know what that is. He say, me neither. And they was talking about me, spiritually. They don't know what that is. I ain't never seen that. And then shit got dicey spiritually. I had no choice. Whether I entered the realm or the fray, rather, I was in it, whether I wanted it or not. Because the attack began. And again, me being a novice at this, me only knowing what I know in the realm that I'm from, and I'm not, let's just say, this body hinders. The body hinders more than you would think. The body hinders. It's not very durable to boot. So there was a lot of spiritual battles. I remember shit moving in the house. I remember hearing laughter. I could hear arguments that wasn't there. This is residual energy that's still in the house. That's what that is. Arguments. And I wake up like, who's arguing? And we look out the window, look out the front door, and don't see anybody. But you could hear it inside the house. Shit got ugly. Shit got real ugly. I look back on it. I really don't know how we got past it. And it made me understand a whole lot more the nature of what ails us. By us, I mean you. I got past it. And I've already done what I had to do. I mean, I am who I am. I just had to be woke up, so to speak. So on a metaphysical level, I went from living in the blackness, doing what I do, which was turning everything into fairy dust that wasn't supposed to be in that darkness. That's what I did. And angels have weapons. And I'm training is everything, and I'm a newbie, so I'm there. I'm locked in the body now. I'm locked in the body, so it ain't the same. So this time I go under. What I call under is I had made myself accessible. I don't know how I did it. I'm still green at that time, and I had made myself accessible. But I do know what's going on. It still frightened me, but not like it did previously. Now, these forms were coming out of the darkness as like a vapor. And as they got closer to my visual, they would take forms of faces as they flew by me. And they kept coming. And then something happened. There was a blast of light. I mean, the area went pitch. All the light, and there are stars and shit, all the light was gathered into like a wall of nothing but light. And then that light was compressed into something that looked like the size of I'll say a $50. And there was in the shape of a cone. And wherever that $50 went, it obliterated. And that scared me again, because now I know there's something else in here with me. There's something else in here with me. So now I'm dealing with this attack and I'm looking for what the hell just happened. I am disoriented here. And and as the wisdom would come and the knowledge would come, and it came quick. I'm looking for the gun. Somebody in here has a weapon, man. I'm using human terms. Somebody in here has a gun. All right. You heard it. I heard it. We seen the flash. Somebody bullshit. And then I heard the voice, you are the gun. You are the weapon. And it was on. That's what it revealed. You are the weapon. And I just knew instinctually how to weld it. Anyway, things get strange, man. Things get strange. The spiritual world uses terms like house and terms like a death when they don't mean death, kill when they don't mean kill. What they really mean is the killing of one's consciousness, and they call it death. However, for me, you know how many, man, I can be spiritual, well, was, not anymore. We seem to have a understanding of something. I think they're a little bit unsure of their own positions at this point. In fact, I'm quite sure they are. Reconsider, fight it. But at this point, I could die. And I've heard them say it, and they'd be angry. I would hear things like, I thought you said that you would kill him. And he said, and the other one said, I killed him 22 times and he kept coming back. He kept coming back. His God kept, no, his God keep bringing him back. That's what the spirit said. And then shit got even more dicier because I had learned that I can trap them inside of me. They can't take me over and I won't let them leave. We used to play this game. I won't let them leave. And it's uncomfortable for the both of us. I'm just stronger and I can feel them struggle. But I can be killed over and over and over by them. And I mean, attempted subversion of the consciousness. which they cannot do. And without that, they are helpless. Ergo, the demons, helpless. Plus, no one is in a rush to have this fight. We're pretty much going by script here. You, you as mankind are the outlier in this game. You are the outlier. Millions of little boxes, side by side. You are the outlier. In most of the boxes is me, the devil, spiritual worlds, other beings, angels, different entities. You are the outlier. You are um the data point that we would connect to somewhere else on the grid, and we would try to understand how they got there, because everything else is rather dynamic. You call static because you shouldn't be there. So we try to understand how you got there. Think of a computer that was restructuring itself, cleaning the, what's it called, man? God dang it, cleaning itself, reorganizing. And you hit the button, and it's a bunch of little boxes, row by row, except there's one little blue box. Sometimes it's purple, sometimes it's red, and it's always moving throughout the other boxes, moving this box over here, creating space over here. But what is that box? That's the outlier. Shit. Under normal terms, it wouldn't be there. It's only there to do what it does. Period. And that's why I say you're in the way. You're not only you're not in the battle like you think. You are, but you ain't. You are, but you ain't. And the spiritual shit around you is real. Like I said, I looked at the world. I remember looking up at the McDonald's signs. And that's when I noticed everything was gray. Not only gray, everything was slow. I mean, it looked like the world had a haze over it, not just in the sky, over everything and everybody. Like the whole world needed a good wipe, a good ass wipe, man. And it was everywhere. Then I started to hear the car alarms would go off, flashing lights, people saying things and doing things. And then in 2018, I started seeing the power that the dark entities that could be held inside of people. A lot of you already seen one, okay? But imagine that inside of someone. It can manifest itself. But I'm looking out of the window of the second floor, just gazing at the street. And there's this guy walking by. And he looks, now actually I'm smoking a cigarette with the window open, gazing at the street. And this guy walks by and he looks up at me, and the middle of his face turned black. And then it turned back to himself. But I'm so dead at that point. I had been through so goddamn much. I didn't even care. I didn't even flinch. I didn't even blink. It was pretty much just expected. Like, okay, I give up. I'm going to see some of any damn thing. Whatever happens here, happens here. I don't even realize it's a fight yet. I think I'm just being antagonized and fuck with. But again, I'm not me back then. It would have been utterly different. Okay. So no one should think that this isn't real. It's very real. It's very real. It's like mankind have been caught up somewhere between a horror movie and the Twilight Zone. Does it feel real? Hell, if I'm here, it obviously ain't like it was yesterday. That's for damn sure. And there ain't no way they could not call me alien. I would fit the very definition of the word alien. There's no way. And I'm here in your world, on your plane, in your realm, and you, my friend, are not. I am Source. I am Seven. I am One.